Secretary's Seoul trip. Earlier, he visited the DMZ, where the nation is divided in two. Meeting his Korean counterpart, James Mattis placed extra emphasis on the importance of denuclearizing the out-of-control regime. Kim Hyun-bin has our top story.
U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis arrived in Seoul early Friday for his second visit as Pentagon chief. Mattis toured the frontline units with his South Korean counterpart, Song Yong-moo, and gave a strong message towards North Korea. The U.S. general stressed that Washington's goal is to denuclearize the regime.
Our goal is not war, but rather the complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula.
Defense Minister Song made similar comments, urging Pyongyang to give up its nuclear ambitions.
I urge North Korea should halt its reckless provocations and come back to the negotiating table as soon as possible.
The U.S. defense chief's visit comes as South Korea and the U.S. are scheduled to hold their annual Security Consultative meeting in Seoul on Saturday, a day after the Allies' military committee meeting. Friday's military committee meeting was led by the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the two allies, General Chung Kyung-do and General Joseph Dunford. Seoul's Defense Minister Song Yong-moo and Mattis will hold their official talks at the SCM on Saturday. The allies plan to have in-depth discussions on enhancing extended deterrence against North Korea's ever-expanding nuclear and ballistic missile threats. They are also expected to discuss alliance policies, including the early transfer of wartime operational control from Washington to Seoul, which is one of the key goals of the Moon Jae-in administration. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Thank you, Minister Song, and I'm here today to reaffirm the United States ironclad commitment to the South Korean people. This visit today to this demilitarized zone portrays in very strong terms the difference we see between two nations. To the south lies a vibrant country, a vibrant economy, a free country, and it's underpinned by peace-loving members of a free society. Behind me, to the north, an oppressive regime that shackles its people, denying their freedom, their welfare, and their human dignity in pursuit of nuclear weapons and the means of delivery in order to threaten others with catastrophe. North Korean provocations continue to threaten regional and world peace, and despite the unanimous condemnation by the United Nations Security Council, they still proceed. And as the U.S. Secretary of State Tillerson has made clear, our goal is not war, but rather the complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Minister Song, 2 days ago at the ASEAN meeting in the Republic of Philippines, we made clear our mutual commitment to a diplomatic solution to address North Korea's reckless outlaw behavior. And together we noted that we are serious about solving this problem.
그리고 우리는 모두 함께 이 문제를 해결하는 부분에 있어서 진지한 모습을 갖추고 있다는 것을 다시 한번 말씀드립니다.
And we stand shoulder to shoulder with you, with your soldiers, and with your people in confronting the threats posed by the Kim Jong-Un regime. And I look forward to our discussion tomorrow at the Security Consultative meeting, where we will discuss ways to further strengthen the ROK-U.S. alliance. This is an alliance of more than 60 years and one that we both know is built on trust. It is an alliance designed to ensure peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and the strongest military defense of our shared democratic values.
The United States has once again said it will never accept North Korea as a nuclear state. U.S. Defense Chief James Mattis, who is visiting Seoul, said Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs serve to undermine, not strengthen, its security. Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile threats topped the agenda on Saturday at the annual 49th Security Consultative meeting in Seoul. To better counter those threats, South Korea's Defense Minister Song Yong-moo and U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis agreed to increase the deployment of U.S. strategic assets around the peninsula on a rotational basis, and to enhance cooperation so Seoul can obtain and develop state-of-the-art military equipment. The two also shared views on the transfer of wartime operational control from Washington to Seoul, one of the key goals of the Moon Jae-in administration.
Secretary Mattis and I agreed to consider the timing and conditions of a condition-based OPCON transition. We will continue to work, develop and refine plans on this issue in time for the next SCM.
Mattis pulled no punches on North Korea, calling Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program illegal and unnecessary. He also stressed that Washington wants to find a diplomatic solution to the nuclear crisis, but military force remains an option, if need be.
The United States does not accept a nuclear North Korea. Diplomacy remains our preferred course of action, but as I have repeatedly emphasized, our diplomats are most effective when backed by credible military force in this sort of situation.
Mattis also took the opportunity to warn Pyongyang against the idea of ever trying to use its nuclear weapons offensively.
Make no mistake, any attack on the United States or our allies will be defeated. Any use of nuclear weapons by the North will be met with a massive military response, effective and overwhelming.
This year's Security Consultative meeting marks the first since President Moon Jae-in and Donald Trump took office earlier this year. The 50th SCM will be held in Washington in 2018. Kim Hyun-bin, 𝐷IA News.
The brave men and women of Minot Air Force Base may yet be called upon to be the instruments of American power. And if that day comes, we know you will be prepared.
U.S. Vice President Mike Pence vowed to keep economic and diplomatic pressure on North Korea to make it abandon its nuclear and missile programs. While touring a nuclear weapons base in North Dakota, Pence said the U.S. will use overwhelming military power to defend themselves or its allies against attacks. Pence said America's enemies should never doubt the capabilities of the U.S. Armed Forces. Minot Air Force Base is home to dozens of B-52 bombers and ICBM sites and is the only U.S. base capable of conducting nuclear strikes by both planes and missiles.
In just a few days, President Trump will travel to another front line of freedom, where so many of your fellow members of the armed forces stand guard to protect our people and our allies and our way of life, the Korean Peninsula. In the face of ongoing threats and provocations by the regime in North Korea, I can assure you the United States will continue to marshal economic and diplomatic pressure to demand that North Korea abandon its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. While President Trump has made clear that the United States has, in his words, great strength and patience, all options are on the table. Our enemies should never doubt the capabilities of the armed forces of the United States of America. Anyone who would threaten our nation should know that America always seeks peace. But if we are forced to defend ourselves or our allies, we will do so with military power that is effective and overwhelming. And those gathered here at Minot Air Force Base will play a critical role again. Now more than ever, your Commander-in-Chief is depending on you to be ready. Stay sharp, mind your mission and your airmen, and be that credible deterrent that has assured the security of the American people for generations. The brave men and women of Minot Air Force Base may yet be called upon to be the instruments of American power. And if that day comes, we know you will be prepared. Bully. You know, it's deeply humbling for me to stand before you today, before so many heroic Americans. Because you see, while I'm the son of a combat veteran, and I'm the proud father of an aviator in the United States Marine Corps,